Aleichem and welcome to the Nachum Hasidic Institute program. I'd like to share with you a Dvar Torah from Rabbi Gedaliahu, who was the mashgiach, the Rosh Yeshiva of Yeshiva's Torah Das. This is Parshas Bo from the Sefer Bo Or Gedaliahu from Gedaliahu Rosh Yeshiva, Yeshiva's Torah Das. Rashi in Parshas Bereshis, he brings the statement of the sages that really the Torah should have started from this week's Parsha. Chodesh hazeh lochem, that this month is for you, the beginning. Why? So why did they start with Genesis? Because Koich Masaf Yigid Lama, the Seisel Nachos Goyim, that he wanted to tell everyone, the history of the nations in this way. He would explain that God is the one who rules the Holy Land. He give it to us and take it away from us, give it to another nation, take it away, as God decides and not as we decide. But the part of the Torah that begins, that's really for the Bnei Yisrael, for the children of Israel, so Chodesh hazeh lochem. Here we have the first mitzvah that's for the whole Israelite nation. This is the month for you, the first month. In this parsha, that means that we have a new way, a new beginning. Now it's a purely Israelite Torah, the way of the Torah which is above the way of nature. This month is to you, the first month. The Sforno explains the parsha in a simple way. Until this time, the children of Israel were slaves to their masters, the Egyptians. A slave, his time is not his own. Anything that a slave acquires belongs to his master. And so too with his time. The slave's time belongs to the master. Now they're free. The time belongs to them. That was it means. This month belongs to you. That you're free. The time is your own time, not someone else's time. And the Sforno says that that's the meaning of when it says this month belongs to you. Now time is given to your hands. This seems like a simple thing, but the Bo Or Gedaliahu says this is a very deep thing. Because that means that it includes that the power was given to the hands of the children of Israel that they should be the masters over time. We see this in the Jerusalem Talmud, in the first chapter of Ksubas. It's written in the Psalms, L'kel Gomer Alai, that God, He finished for me, He blessed me with so many blessings. What does it mean? There's such an idea that certain things happen in the human body depending on a person's age. Specifically, they reach a year 3 years old, a year 9 years old, 12 years old, 13 years old. Certain things happen to the body. And what it says here in the Talmud, that let's say the Great Court in Jerusalem, the Sanhedrin, decided this year would be a leap year. They add an extra month. And so, this child's birthday will be a month later. The body will actually be different because their birthday's a month later. Meaning the maturity will be pushed off for another month. Why? Because the children of Israel ruled time. time is given into their hands. And as whatever the Sanhedrin, meaning Jewish people, representatives of the Jewish people, representing everyone, would decide, and today we have calendars that were set up by human beings, by Hillel II. That's the time, that's the way it is. And when Mashiach comes again, we'll go back to the old way. This is supernatural, and yet it controls nature. That's what it says, that this month belongs to you. That the month is given into your hands. Now, what it says that the Torah belongs to Jewish people specifically from this point on. Well, the Torah is the blueprint of the world. The Zohar says that, in the Medrash also says, God looked into the Torah and created the world. Istakel b'raisa u'bar alma. So if the Torah belongs to us, that means the power of nature that God created is in the hands of those who have the Torah. Even though there's nothing new under the sun, King Solomon says in Ecclesiastes, anyone who's under the sun, he cannot do something new. The children of Israel, the people of the Torah, are above the sun when they're attached to the way of the Torah. It's nothing about who the parents are or whatever. It's about the Torah. Someone who goes in the way of the Torah, then he's above the sun, above nature. Then you have the power to make things new. When the Hebrews were in Egypt, in Golis, to explain more, in the exile, everything was in exile. Time was in exile, exiled under the Egyptians. The power of time was all natural. It was enslaved to nature. That through nature you get old. But when they were redeemed by the Exodus, they went out of this exile. They had the power to be new. The truth is that we find in the beginning of the exile, it says there came up a new king. The Medrash says, the Shmos Rabbah, Perek Aleph Yud, the rabbis would start to explain this verse with the following. It says in Hosea chapter 5 verse 7. They rebelled against the Lord because they gave birth to strange children. Now they're going to eat new their portion. When Joseph died, the bris wasn't quite the same. Some people even stopped circumcising because they want to be like the Egyptians. That's what it says, now you're going to eat the new things, the new portion that you got. What does it mean? You want to be like the Egyptians? You want to fit in better? There'll be a new king that will give you new decrees. Meaning it wasn't even a new king, it was an old king. If you want to try to assimilate, that's going to make things tough. This is what the Medrash says. Sfas Emes happened today, was the Yurtzeit of Sfas Emes, the Rebbe from Ger. He brings in the name of the Chedush Yerim, the first Ger Rebbe. The Medrash comes to explain, how could it be there's a new king? It means a king who brought new decrees. But wait, the power of renewal, that belongs to Bnei Yisrael. Because they're the ones who are attached to the root of life. Where did the Egyptians have this power of renewal? This power to make new decrees and to make Pharaoh new like he didn't know Joseph. Doesn't it say there's nothing new under the sun? The Egyptians, they lived in a natural way. They're under the sun. How could they have something new? That's what the Medrash is answering. Because when the Jewish people gave up their power of renewal, they gave up the mitzvahs. They said, let's be like the Egyptians.